Since our country's new government was elected last fall, we've been reminded of who we are as Canadians. We are people who believe in a reasonable, evidence-based approach. We manage carefully, we invest prudently, and we celebrate enterprise and hard work. We're people who care about each other, who live with each other peacefully and productively despite our different backgrounds. We welcome to our country people seeking new opportunity as well as those in need. And we're a people who are well positioned to continue to be world leaders in innovation, in industry, and in setting an example of how people can live together without regard to skin color or to race or to faith or to sexual orientation. Perhaps nowhere in Canada is this more true than right here in the City of Toronto. This national character is best on display here. The world is acknowledging week after week that Toronto represents something unique, something globally significant. We have put behind us the politics of division, and we are working much better together. Not perfect yet, Prime Minister, but I will say that I should have you back more often because after everybody on the council was taking pictures with you, some of them said they felt sorry for me being left out and wanted to have their pictures taken with you. This was a very good development.
Got some pictures with you. That's excellent.
But we have put behind us the politics of division, and we are working much better together to build the city of the future, one Toronto. Our relationship with you, Prime Minister, and with our new federal government will be a big part of achieving that vision. Prime Minister Trudeau has 25 members of Parliament from Toronto in his caucus. I know their interests are aligned. Their interests are aligned with ours when it comes to representing the best interests of Toronto's residents in all neighbourhoods and at all income levels. And that is why I asked to meet those MPs last week, the first such meeting here at City Hall in many years, initiated by the Mayor of Toronto. And it will be the first of many. This national government, like ours, is interested in investing in transit that will help people to move around every part of Toronto quickly and safely and efficiently. And I want to take this opportunity, Prime Minister, to thank you and your government for affirming your commitment to the Smart Track project, which will help to move people around Toronto. It will help to reduce congestion both on the roads and on existing transit lines, and we appreciate that support. This government, like ours, understands the need to repair our Toronto community housing facilities, buildings thousands of Toronto families call home. And they understand that we need to invest in affordable housing across the board. Because as Toronto continues to grow and succeed, we have to make sure that our city is still accessible and that people can afford to not only build their careers here, but to build their lives here. The Prime Minister and I discussed each and every one of these challenges in our meeting, and I am very optimistic that we will have a solid, productive partnership going forward. Working with the province, our three governments will together achieve results. By any measurement, job creation, economic growth, productivity, social responsibility, and environmental stewardship, investing in Toronto and in Canada's cities will help Prime Minister Trudeau to achieve the goals he has set for himself and for his team and indeed for the country. Investir dans Toronto aura un impact profondément positif sur l'économie du pays, le bien-être de nos citoyens,
the economy of our country, on the well-being of our citizens, and our reputation across the
world. Investing in
world.
Toronto will have a profoundly positive impact on our country's economy, on our citizens' well-being, on our climate commitments, and on our global reputation. And so I will conclude simply by saying that I look forward to working with you, Prime Minister, and with your team, and I hope this is the first of many visits that you make to Toronto City Hall. Thank you. Merci. Thank you very much. And now to questions.
Questions from media.
Prime Minister James Murray with the CBC. You've talked about large-scale infrastructure spending to stimulate the economy. Where should those dollars go first, and why wait for the budget to spend them?
The Prime Minister and I discussed the fact that in the area of housing, for example, and especially Toronto community housing, we're ready to move. We've had a need for a long time that has been clearly identified that will help with energy savings, will help to improve the homes of thousands of people which are presently substandard, which will help with our climate change objectives, and will save a lot of money, as well as putting people to work. And so we're ready to work with the government and to do it right, as the Prime Minister said, but to get on with it, that area being just one example.
It's happening fast enough for you?
we're ready, and this government's been in office for, I think, about 10 weeks, and I'm delighted at the fact the Minister of Infrastructure has been here to City Hall. He came here to ask us. The Prime Minister himself has been here to ask us. I've met the Liberal MPs. I've met the Finance Minister here. They're moving ahead and with dispatch because they want people to be put to work. They want these projects to move ahead for the quality of life of the people in the housing, for example, and the quality of life of transit passengers, and we're going to move ahead with them.
Cynthia Mulligan, City News. The dollar is tanking, oil is plummeting. How are you going to stimulate the economy specifically? And will these downturns have any impact on the money that the man standing beside you desperately wants for transit and housing?
May I just say in the context as well about optimism about the Toronto economy and what that will contribute to the strength of the national economy, because while people don't necessarily like to hear it outside of the boundaries of this city is the economic engine of Canada and of Ontario. But we had 400 tech entrepreneurs upstairs in the council chamber last night. They were people full of ideas, full of a desire to develop those ideas and create jobs here for fellow Canadians in the City of Toronto. The infrastructure investments that we're going to make in transit to help connect people to jobs, in housing to make sure that the people who work in those startups, whose incomes may be lower, or others who are needed to work in business, have a place to live in the City of Toronto. They are going to help us to make sure we can stay competitive here, and our encouragement in other ways of those very same entrepreneurs are going to represent a very bright future indeed, building on the critical mass of industries that we have in the city right now. So this is going to make a big contribution soon to putting people to work, to building necessary infrastructure, but also to supporting the growth of other jobs in the city that are going to be necessary for Canada's growth and our own growth going forward. And the two are the same.
Étienne Fortin-Gauthier, journaliste à TFO. On est à Toronto, la
We're in Toronto right now, the metropolis of Canada, a bilingual country. Now, we don't see much French in the Queen City. There have been some documents in the city of Toronto in every language, but French. Is there a problem about bilingualism in Toronto? Maybe both on this?
Well, very clearly that this was an oversight, and it is something that we will find a way to correct using technology and so on. But I think I have tried to show, even through my questionable attempts to speak French in my dealings with the media and other things that we've tried to do, that we're extremely respectful of the French fact in Toronto, and it's a significant and contributing part of our population in the city, and that this was an error, and these errors are made from time to time, and we will find ways to make up for it. And I think it need not and should not be taken as any statement of any kind on anything except that somebody made a mistake. May I just take this opportunity to respond to the Prime Minister's expression of gratitude to me personally, but also to the city, more importantly, for its leadership, and acknowledge as well the leadership of my two colleagues, the co-advocates for the refugees, Syrian refugees, Joe Mahevic and Joe Cressy, and to say that I'm proud of the way Toronto has responded, and that we are always trying to learn how we can do better. We're getting lots of support from the Government of Canada, and I was out last week on Friday to meet with a large number of Syrian refugee families that are here in Canada. Some have come over the last period of time, and that we're learning as to how we can do things better with respect to housing and employment and other things, but that I'm proud of the way this city, and it's not so much about the government or the councillors, it's about the people who have stepped up in record numbers and formed groups and done things to help their fellow human beings. And that's what Canada and that's what Toronto are all about. As we leave the stage, may I say thank you to you again for coming, Prime Minister. I, in particular, would like to have you back for more of these media avails, because you got the majority of the questions, and this was definitely a positive development. But you are welcome here anytime, and we hope you'll be back again.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.